Yeah, certainly surprising. Well, first of all,
Police make arrests after a human torso and foot were found inside a building in the Bronx.
The suspect has been identified as Sheldon Johnson, a criminal justice activist who previously served time in prison.
All right, Fox 5's Linda Schmidt live in the High Bridge section of the Bronx tonight with more on this surprising turn of events. Linda.
yeah, certainly surprising. Well, first of all, this guy said he had turned his life around after spending most of his adult life in prison. In fact, just last year, he started working with the Queens Public Defender's Office. Well, now he is accused of shooting a man in the head in the apartment building right here behind me and then dismembering his body. 48-year-old Sheldon Johnson of Harlem is charged with murder and concealment of a human corpse. This is Johnson recently on Joe Rogan's podcast, talking about how he had turned his life around after a life of crime. He was working with troubled youth with the Queens Public Defender's Office. The shirt he is wearing says Queens Defenders.
I got into school, I got my GED. From there, I got involved in correspondence courses. I started interacting with guys who were teaching ART, aggression replacement training, and I started to begin to understand how these concepts work, what positive visualization is, deep breathing, how to remove yourself, conflict resolution.
Well, police say Johnson's life of crime apparently was not over. He is accused of shooting 44-year-old Colin Small in the head in a small 6th-floor apartment on Summit Avenue and then dismembering his body. Detectives combing over potential evidence again today. Inside the apartment in the High Bridge section of the Bronx, a law enforcement source telling me they found a man's torso and foot in a plastic storage bin. Investigators also found the victim's head, legs, and arms in Johnson's freezer in his apartment building in Harlem. The superintendent of the victim's apartment building saying a neighbor heard gunshots, and surveillance video tells the story.
The tenant of the apartment, he came in, he never came out. So I called police because it's suspicious.
The super providing me with these surveillance pictures inside the building that allegedly show Johnson carrying bags in and out of the apartment building the day of the murder and changing his clothes several times, as well as wearing disguises. Now, today I also reached out to the Queens Public Defender's Office where Sheldon Johnson had been working, but they had no comment.
All right. Shalom, shalom. Actually, Shabbat shalom. And I want to say, Kalaim La, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, Bashim Ha, Rakak Wadash. And as you see from that story, man, curse is right there before your eyes, We know the obvious one, love of many waxing cold. And I think I'll just pull out the one. I'll just pause this for a second. All right, so Deuteronomy 28 and 54. So the man that is tender among you, very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Exactly. So the most tender-hearted among you will have no compassion for his own brother, his beloved wife, and his surviving children. So our people are not going to have, these curses, they're not going to have any compassion towards each other. That's just the curses. That's stuff that, happened back then and stuff that happens now. It's the same old. And an example of that is in the book of Tobit. When our people were getting killed by, murdered by Sennacherib, they were actually getting at Tobit for, having the kindness to go grab up the dead bodies and remove them. They were getting on his case about that. So that's just a problem with our people, and that all came throughout the curses. They just look out for themselves. And nowadays you have the curses, and then you have compounded the ending of this age, evils, wickedness, evil spirits, out here on a much higher level, higher frequency. Things just piling up. These evil spirits all over the place, and these people are gradually losing it, and that's what you see right here. This dude took whatever prison beef he had, and as soon as he left, he took it out on the street and murdered this guy and cut him up and hid him in his freezer, which is like pretty ridiculous. I mean, you killed someone inside New York City. I mean, you could have dragged him off someplace else or something, then kill him, but you killed him, and you also killed him in his home. It's just like that's not really gonna work, But you should just never killed the guy to begin with. But that's Jake, and y'all notice that these buildings have security cameras and stuff like that, and they're everywhere too. The security cameras like all over the place. That's just how it works in the city, man. So that was pretty much all I wanted to get into. Want to kind of post that little article. Obviously, did not camp today. Camp is just going to come by tomorrow. I'll get up nice and early. I'll try to wake up. I didn't wake up early enough today. I'll wake up early tomorrow. Hopefully, really early. I don't want to telegraph when I get up and when I camp, because in these times, and I want to be circumspect and whatever. And also, it's going to be more important to teach early, because if it gets really crowded out there, I think that there's going to be the higher chances that I'm going to run into a National Guard or a police officer who's going to want to check my bag, and they're not going to like what they see inside of my bag. They're just going to see a bunch of Bibles and a 12 tribe sign. They're just going to go, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? Which, it's not really a joke, because, they could, definitely, ding people off of things like that. But low on that doesn't happen, and I don't, get locked up or, shot in the head, on the spot for wanting to teach the word. Low on that doesn't happen. But my point is, you gotta be more circumspect, in these last days. We'll get that one as well, since we're talking about it, and then I'll close off, because I made my points, and there's no reason to talk anymore than besides making the point. It's Ephesians 3. It's 5. All right. Days are evil. Was it that? Yeah. There was another one that I'm looking for. It's not this one. This book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 15. See then, as you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise. Walking, doesn't mean to actually walk. You gotta walk on tiptoes, and you can't walk normally. You gotta be walking like a fucking Venom Snake from Metal Gear Solid 5 or something. Like you're fucking crouching around, and then you get into a dive roll, and then you start just crawling on the ground and shit. Like you're about to fucking sneak into a goddamn research facility and steal a Metal Gear or something. I don't know. But it just means your behavior. You walk. People say, "Oh, I walk the path of a warrior." You hear that in animes and movies. Real people obviously don't talk like that. But these animes and games, they want to, sound cool, and the people will eat it right up. Even though most of the time with these shows, the way these people talk, you're just like, this is pretty cursed. No one talks like this. No one when they're fighting talks like that, or has full-on conversations, but it's sometimes it can be pretty cool, and sometimes it can be pretty cool, and then everything else is hot garbage. But the people eat it up. And that's what matters at the end of the day. It's all business, right? Redeeming the time because the days are evil, right? So make the most of every opportunity in these evil days. Exactly. We constantly skip that word, redeeming. Exagerazo. To redeem by payment, buy up for oneself or one's use, to make wise and secret use of every opportunity for doing goods, that zeal and well doing are as it were the purchase money, but what should make time our own. Buy up, right? Ransom, buy off, right? So how are we going to make the most out of our time, right? By, first you got to measure the time diligently in itself, like it talks about in Second Esdras. I think it's 6, could be 9, but I think it's 6 where it talks about that. You got to measure that time diligently in itself, and you got to use the scriptures to go ahead and do that. To make to measure the time. Kind of look at it, and you see that the days that we're coming into are evil, and are not good. That it's looking brutal out here when you could just be sleeping in your apartment, and then someone blow some dude's head off in the building right next to you. It's like, holy fuck. Like, dude, I just want to take a nap. I just finished a fucking hard graveyard shift, and I want to go to bed. And it's like, now you're over here in the corner murdering some poor sap, which the guy probably fucked him over, and he probably never left the gang, and he was always still in it, and that guy probably was like an op, or who knows what happens. I don't know. There's probably a deeper story that I don't know. I just read the comments, and they said, oh, it was some prison beef and he should have killed him, but even though this is kind of like an extraneous situation, it's not like the type of stuff that well, it is a typical thing you see, but it's not like the other type of stuff that's much more brutal. When people just kill random people, and just someone who looks normal comes in and just has an unsuspecting victim, murders him, and that'll be that. So make the most of these times, right? Because the days are evil, and we're coming into those latter days. And then the rest, don't be drunk with wine. There's an excess, right? Don't be focused on that. And then the rest is pretty much self-explanatory. Shalom, the world edified.